So I would like to introduce you to CCCP_10. Brand new account, level 38, 250 battles played, no arcade, and actually has some sim on record. And he's like 10 to 20 to 1 in some of these vehicles. So yeah, not really the normal behavior you would see from a brand new player. I am gonna bring up an idea that came up in my comment section about people whining about how skill-based matchmaking would totally work in this game, and it's totally balanced, they would know it would be great, blah blah blah. Here's the thing. I know a few games right now that use skill-based matchmaking. I know Destiny does it, I know Call of Duty does it, and I think some other competitive shooters do it as well. So in the opinion of, yes, okay, there are a couple games that could have the idea of using skill-based matchmaking. Okay, I get that works that way. However, those games have something very different from War Thunder. They do not have a ranking system like we do. They do not have 12 separate ranking systems out for the way this game works. They do not have 12 to 13 potential different brackets they would have to search through. Also, they have millions of players, not 100,000. I think Call of Duty kind of on average is like a several million player a game day, or a day game. So the difference with that is population. It's also the reason why Gaijin doesn't change the way the system works now, because the system just works. And it's funny to me that people are claiming in my comments section that they think it would work entirely and it would make the game a lot better. The only reason it would make the game quote-unquote better is more frustration for Gaijin on specific players. And I almost guarantee it wouldn't work. And I'll give you a very good example I can think of. So I play 4-7. Okay, 4-7 tends to have a lot of new players in it. I can understand that. Okay, well, how about this? I play with a squad of people. Okay, well, most SBMMs, well, I'm going to call it that, SBMM, squad-based matchmaking, or skill-based matchmaking, sorry, tends to play on whoever is the host of the game's highest skill base. Okay, well, guess what? I'm going to pull my friend in who, like, never plays this game, or he's not very good at the game. He'll host it, and I'll go in with him. Well, cool, I just got loaded in with a lower skill base than any of my other friends would. Now I get thrown in a bunch of new players. Also, it may up-tier me, but in reality, it doesn't do that. Maybe it down-tiers me, it just doesn't know how it works. And then there's all these other varieties that you're not thinking about. So here's the thing. If Gaijin did a skill-based matchmaking, they would have to take into account the BR swings, the player's skill, how many people in a squad it's in, how many, like, the lineups of the people in the game. Potentially, they would have to determine how many premiums are in each vehicle. There's a whole bunch of stuff this game would have to account for. Whereas in Call of Duty, they don't determine that. They just determine your skill level. That's it. That's it. There's no variety. There's no matchmaker. I don't even think they go by your prestige level. It's just, we put you in a game based on your skill level. That's it. Also, we have a pool of 1 million players to search through. Here you go. Yes, they have different maps and modes, but Gaijin doesn't do that. You're thrown into a quote-unquote TDM or capture the flag style game mode, and that's it. There's no other varieties. And every other game mode in Call of Duty is populated with hundreds of thousands to potentially millions of players. So if this game had, I would say, 250,000 players, I would agree with doing an SBMM sort of system. But it doesn't. We have gotten to about 150,000-ish players for, like, the peaks. Right now, we're averaging about 100K players in game. I think during the event, I saw like 140,000, but we swing between 140, 150,000 during events and new patches, down to like 80K on average. Steam chart's obviously different because not everyone plays on Steam, and obviously there's console players as well. But if I'm looking up daily players, which there are sites that can look up daily players, if I look up daily players for this game, it's about 1 million players per day. So in reality, that doesn't really have enough viability to do skill-based matching for the amount of variety that goes into the game. If you can suggest another method this would work as, or hey, suggest a mode, or suggest something that would make it do it, by all means. I would suggest skill-based matchmaking if they ever brought back some sort of competitive mode. That makes perfect sense, because right now, squadron battles are quote-unquote competitive, but they're not like... Right now, I'll give you a great example. Matchmaking we have in Ranked, there are literal cheater squadrons that are playing against brand new squadrons because that's what their skill level is at. So it would make sense to put like cheater squadrons up against like really high skill squadrons, and then they would know who's potentially cheating. Because if say, so AVR is currently the #1 squadron in the entire game. They've been ranked #1 for a long time, and they are a very good squadron. I get players reported on them all the time. But in reality, they're very good. Like everyone reports them because they're that good. They're a very good squadron. Okay? And they vet a lot of their players, so they know what to look at. Okay? That one incident with the AVR wasn't even an AVR player. So I get it. Like, everyone's like, oh, they're such a cheater squadron. If AVR went against a cheater squadron, based on skill level, they would potentially know that the players in that squadron are cheating and could report them for being banned. That is the only mode I should say that they should use SBMM in. Okay? Because then, if you did it based on skill, that means... If it was like based on skill, that means other squadrons that are either cheating or not could move up in the ranks faster instead of the same 20 squadrons that have been at the top 100 or top 20 for the last, you know, forever. Because the same top squadrons have been the top ages forever, and they never move. They've been there for ages. So if they did a skill-based matchmaking in squadron battles, that would actually be potentially more interesting. But until they do that, nothing's really gonna change. So that would be my only suggestion to do skill-based matchmaking in. Other than that, it doesn't really make sense to do it anywhere else. And you can argue with me all you want, but the only other suggestion I would give would be, hey, if you're a high-skilled player or you've been in the game for a long period of time, yeah, well, how about this? 5.7 and lower, you're gonna get put into a higher-skilled lobby. But anything above that, no. Like, if the person has a premium in their account, okay, they're excepted from that rule now because they bought a premium. There's stuff that makes exceptions that makes sense to remove them from the pool, but other than that, I don't have any other options. So it's a BR bracket restriction or it's a squadron-based battle restriction. That's the only thing that makes sense to do, and that's all I'm going to agree with on that. You can make another suggestion if you want, because I would love to hear constructive criticism on this or feedback on this, because those two options are the only ones that make sense to me. Every other time, no. Because if a person is willing to buy a $70 premium and go into high tier, guess what? That's what they were wanting to do. They want to play high tier. Too bad, so sad. They spent the $60, $70 on it. Oh no, I don't care. They made the choice to spend the money. So, as always, if you have a player in question you want to leave to me, also, the session ID does work on occasion, but if you have the access to get the URL from the top URL bar, it is much better to do that because session ID doesn't always work. Sometimes I have to use a different replay than you initially give me, so sometimes they just don't work. I've had a couple recently where someone says they're blatantly cheating. I look up the session ID and it doesn't work. So if you can get the URL, please do. I will always try to use whatever I have access to. As always, like I said, the player... please try to follow the pinned comment below. And as always, I hope you have a good rest of your morning, day, evening, or night. And have a good one.